Hello, welcome back. Design Elements and Principles, session 4A starting today. We're in session 4, which means we're in week 4. Hope everybody's doing well, understanding everything as we go through. As you can see from the session 1 has now closed. You can't go back, fix it, work on it, do anything. It has been a week past the due dates, so that means that things just close out and we continue to move on. That means shape closes out this week. I do have a mild announcement. It is not shown here, but next week, not this week, next week, let me find the date. So when somebody says, I didn't know what you meant when you said next week. There will be no classes. The college is closed on Tuesday, February 17th. The college is closed on Tuesday, February 17th. That also means that I will not be holding this class on Thursday, February 19th. The reason I do that is that keeps us on a Tuesday schedule. We always start on Tuesday. There'll be a Thursday, there'll be a missing Thursday further on. It doesn't matter, into which you won't have a Thursday, but we'll give you all the work on Tuesday. It'll all work out. But just know next week, there are no classes for me. Tuesday, the college, Thursday for me. Make sure you double check all your other courses and see what those instructors have to say. There will be a notice that will pop up on Blackboard that will just kind of say no classes, Thursday's a work day. So just kind of keep that in mind. The good part about that is you look at your due dates, things aren't due until the 24th and 26th. So because we are not meeting for this class next week, and it's all roped in, don't worry, you're getting all 16 units. Don't worry, you're not missing out on anything. You get a week grace period. So, and that's just to keep us rolling and keep us on a Tuesday, Thursday schedule. Otherwise, we're bouncing around. Then I'm starting on Thursdays. And then we meet, and then it's like Thursday and Tuesday, things get all off schedule. So we're just kind of keeping Tuesdays always our start day, and we're missing a Tuesday. So just skip that Thursday. Down the line, there'll be a Tuesday we'll meet. There won't be a Thursday, and we'll just kind of rope in everything with that class. It's not as important further out, simply because you guys will know what to do. You guys will be pros at this. You'll be like, oh yeah, he can just give us all, and then it's all good. So like I said, that notice will pop up later this week. So as normal, don't forget to do your attendance. That's how I take attendance. You don't do it, you're marked late, you're marked gone. And now those go away. So I have them set that they disappear after you do them. Don't worry about it. We will talk about color today. Exciting, exciting, exciting. I love color. I got 2 little lectures on color. We'll go through those. Then, as we know, we're going to find our design examples of color. And then a textbook is about color. So it all works out real well. So again, attendance. Make sure you do this. Make sure you do this before it's due. Otherwise, you've been marked absent. Continue. Look it up. What does opacity control? Well, I know this one offhand. Opacity. Its friend is transparency. Boom. There we go. If you don't know it, copy, paste, return, thinking. Opacity controls the level of transparency. Answer the question. So you get this. You did 5 minutes. This is your attendance. This is how I take attendance. How come I got dropped from the class? I do all the work. I even talk to you face to face. Well, you didn't do the attendance thing. And that's how I mark it. You're all kind of, when I'm working, because you picked a lot of people click to be online, I just have to go simply off of what you turn in. So there we go. All right, defining color. Let's jump into it and have some fun. Look at this. All right, let's get out the old drawing tablet and start messing around. All right, this is our color wheel. Make sure I'm loaded. This is what we standard see and know as a color wheel. It goes around and it's kind of infinite. Where you start, where you end, it's an infinite circle. What comes around goes around. This, if you wanted to study color and really get into things, this isn't 100% correct. It's the color system is a huge like waveform, and it's actually a 3D waveform. Once we start introducing darks and lights, which is tints and tones and shades, it becomes this like weird graph. Things aren't equal. There's more of one, less of another. And it's just how the spectrum works. I love it. I watch YouTube videos on it. It blows my mind, but I'm not going to teach you that because you don't need to know the infinite parts of color unless you really want to know it. You just have to understand general terminology, know how they work, and be able to speak the language because you are becoming designers, and to speak the language is to know it and be able to sound intelligent to your clients. So that's why we do it. So this is the base color wheel. I'll use it for demonstration purposes, but if you want to nerd out, go dig in deep. Color is beautiful. I have books just on color. It's the only books that I keep. All other books I've gotten rid of in my life. They're all digital, and I have like 10 books just devoted only to color pigments, where they come from. I love it. I think it's super cool. So we're starting out with this. We know this. We've seen it. We've seen it everywhere. And we're going to start talking about primaries and secondaries. Primary, yellow, blue, and red. And then orange, green, and purple. Secondaries. Or complementary. So complementary, it complements. What is the complement of yellow? It's purple. It's also sometimes termed as a secondary. So if I go back up and we start from real world standpoint, here is, let me get my undo button. Yellow is a primary. Blue is a primary, and red is a primary. Why are they primaries though? I don't get it. Why would these three be primaries? The reason is you can't mix anything to make these colors. These colors exist as they are. You cannot mix anything plus anything to create yellow. Yellow exists as a color entity itself. Nothing and nothing equals yellow. Yellow is just yellow. Same with blue. You cannot find anything in nature that you can mix together without, quote unquote, a chemical reaction, which is different, to create blue, and the same is with red. These are the purest form of pigmented color that we have, and everything else comes from these three colors that we talk about. So anything else on the rainbow has to be created from yellow, blue, and red. That's why they are primary colors. Nothing else. You can't go and be like, I'm going to mix Gerbeldach and Smazel. Those are two colors that you don't know about. And when I mix them together and make yellow. No, nothing else does. So that's why those are primary colors. Now, the complementary color. So every color has an opposite, a secondary, a complementary. They kind of go in terms like that. And so if you were to look on the color, this is the color wheel, and this is what we're talking about when we talk about this. The opposite of yellow, or the complement is purple. It is the furthest away on that color wheel, and it may have yellow in it, but probably not, but it can. But it is these two mixed together in 100% to get purple, which then doesn't involve yellow, so its complement becomes purple. Here, for red, it's green. Its complement is green, which is 100% blue and 100% yellow and no red, creates this color green, which is the complementary of red. And then for blue, it is orange. So we're combining yellow plus red, and we're getting orange, which is the complementary of that. Complementary, sometimes called secondary, not because we're going to get a tertiary, triads, all this kind of stuff. But just think complement. Yellow's complement is purple. Blue's complement is orange. Red's complement is green. These generally are also colors that work well together. They contrast really well. They look really like kind of rad together. And then think about, it's kind of hard. Yeah, this is a season. Maybe there's seasons, but I just know like they always work together. Think of sports teams. Think of how many blue and orange for sports teams, red and green is for Christmas or holidays, and then purple and yellow. I don't know what it's for, but it's actually one of my favorite color combinations is yellow and purple. So that's primary and complementary. Let's go down. Triads. Now we look on this wheel, and if I could even add colors in the middle of all these colors, and we can still have a triad system. No matter how we break this down, a triad is 3 colors equally spaced on the color wheel, and you use those together. So if I do a art piece and I use yellow, blue, and red, I can say I used a triad color palette. It's a triad. It's 3 colors. They're equidistant from each other on the color palette. Equidistant from each other. Not saying like here to here. That's not equal distance. We're doing equal distance from like there's yellow, space, 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 blue, space, 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 red, space. But and then we can twist that. So we can also change what that looks like. All right, so we can, like if I pick this color and I go equidistant, so this we call it like we call it blue green or green blue, and then we have yellow orange, and then we have purple red. So these 3 colors then would be a triad of colors on the color wheel. So it doesn't matter like where you go. We have yellow green to blue purple to red orange. Like doesn't matter as long as they're equal distance, and there's 3 of them. It is a triad, and it's just a tried and true color system. It's a good place to start. I love using actually what I have in here is these are the CMY. It's cyan, magenta, and yellow. And this is for printing purposes. And this is kind of like my little triad. It's very close to yellow, blue, and red, but it's done for printing purposes. And I use that color combination all the time. It's like my go-to. I start there and then I start to like pull back. So it's a starting point for me. So that's a triad. Equidistance. 3 colors equal distance from each other. So again, color 1, 2, 3, color 1, 2, 3, color 1, 2, 3, color. So that's how you did that. Analogous, big word, analogous. All this means, and it is generally, if you want to keep it separate and easy, This was 3 colors. Analogous stems to be 1, 2, 3, 4 to 5. 5 is pushing it. So I'd say 4 colors in a row. And it can be any 4 colors in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is an analogous system right here. 4 colors in a row on the color wheel. No matter where you put them, 1, 2, 3, 4, it is the grouping of 4. I'm not adding in anything from anywhere else. All these are out. I just want these 4. That's an analogous system. And you can shift this around to any 4 that you want, but you just don't include anything outside of touching colors. So this could be a really beautiful, blues to light greens, or you can have, like some green, and you can pick the mood that you want by just sticking around with 4 color system. And it's more versatile than you think. You may just think like, oh, this is for a nice warm feel. And then I could do a very like cool and calming in nature. And then this is like a little bit more exciting. I'm getting a little bit brighter in the teals, but here it's real rich and red and regal. So you think about how these warm. Here, this is all hot, warm. It's all about going up to Florida on vacation. This one's about going in the mountains. You just think about how these colors work together. And for analogous, it is a group of colors all next to each other. Nobody else. We just want neighbors. They're just neighbors. And it's usually 4 is the most. The reason I say 4 is the most, is that a dead set rule on using colors in design? No, but if you get outside of that, it starts to get a little crazy. Design is all about pulling back. You want to do the craziest thing, you do it, and then you start to look at it and you pull back. We don't need everything. We don't need 8,000 colors in the piece. A rainbow, I'm going to show you some examples where a rainbow kind of works, but a rainbow for everything doesn't work. Because then what are you trying to tell people? Okay, I know there's symbolism for the rainbow, but if I want to talk about a warm vacation in Florida, I'm not going to do a rainbow of colors. I'm just gonna only be in the warms and like make sure like everything is warm and bright. Why would I include any of these? Well, what about the water? It's okay. You don't need to talk about everything, but we want a warm piece. And we can get into that. There's ways to get into it. But we kind of like, I'm going to say analogous is half the color wheel. No, that's getting out of control. In that case, you're just talking about, I have a warm palette and a cool palette. So look at that transition. You like that? Warm colors. Think of colors that make you feel warm. It's all about feeling. This is named after feeling and what we observe in nature. What's hot? Red, fire. That's so embers in a fire pit are orange, and so we call them warm. The sun, when we don't look at it, please don't look at the sun, or we see it at the sunset, it is oranges. And yeah, it goes from yellow to oranges to red, and it's warm and it's wonderful. And then we get into the forest and we get into greens and water. It's cold and cool, So it's all based on our perception of what we see in nature. And that's the only reason really why we have warm and cool colors, but it's also easy to define. It's easy to tell someone, I'm going to use a warm color palette for your project because we're dealing with, Florida. We want to keep it warm. So that's why we didn't choose a cool color palette. And they're like, wow, they really thought about that work. They're really smart. So that's what we're talking about there. And that's the easy one. Cool and warm. Love it. Easy. let's get into some cool stuff. And this I'm going to teach you more about on Thursday. I'm going to teach you, I'm going to teach you how to make a spot color in Illustrator. And it's something I use on almost every design. It's kind of hard to remember to do, but once you do it, it's amazing. But now we talk about types of color and how we use the pigment addition of pigment or non-addition of pigment. This is a little bit weird. All right, so for each of these colors, I'm dealing with monochromatic. That means mono is one and chromatic is color. One color. So why is this important? So all of these are monochromatic from here in. And what that means is here is for this green yellow, this is 100% pigment. I saturated the area with pigment. Now this right here is 80% pigment, 20% nothing, just paper. If it was black paper, it would show through differently. This is 60%, 40, and 20. And then 0 is just white. 0 is nothing. There's no pigment left. So if trying to think of a different way to say, like, how to kind of describe that is it's saturation, but we're not adding white. I never added white. There's no white added. I only added less pigment. Watered it down. That's what I did. I watered it down. If you have a cup of coffee, pour out half the coffee, 50% of the coffee, and add 50% water, because water will call nothing. You will end up with a monochromatic coffee with 50% coffee. So we're just water to me is adding nothing. So we're just adding less. We're watering it down. We're not adding anything to it. I'm not adding cream to the coffee. That would make a tint. I'm talking monochromatic, where I just only am adding particles of coffee from 100 to nothing. And that's what we're doing. Particles of pigment from 100 down to nothing, monochromatic. Tint is now where we add white. And you can see the difference. I can't see through these, right? Up here, you can see through them. They're transparent because it's pigment with nothing added, so that it's transparent. Where there's not pigment, there's free space. On a tint, which I'll teach you how to do on Thursday, we are adding white. So if I start here, this is 100% pigment. Then this one right there is 80 pigment, 20 white. This is 60, 40, 40, 60, 20, 80. So I'm adding white. And as you can see, they get, I call it milky. They're not transparent. It is a lighter shade. And this is generally what we talk about when people say like a monochromatic image. This is like what they're talking about more than they are talking about pure, the sense of pure pigment only. So when we say a tint of that, we're talking, I want, a 50% tint of that blue. That means I'm going to take 50% pigment and 50% white, mix them together, and I get, this color. So that's what we're talking about. So a tint is adding white to a hue. A hue, again, is another name for a color. All of these terms, I'm going to say there's going to be multiples used in layman's terms, and like if you're a snotty graphic designer, you'll use the word hue. If you're not, you'll just be color. I used only warm hues in your design. No, I'm just like, yeah, warm colors, you know, like yellow serete. So that's how I talk. That's how most people talk. If you want to get into it, get real scholarly, use hue. Toning. Toning is adding gray. Not black, not white, but gray. And when we say gray, I'm talking about a 50% gray. So if I were to mix 50% black with 50% white to get a 50% gray and started with that base, I'm doing the same thing. 100% pigment, and then here it's 80 to 20. And then we get down. And what it starts to knock out the color. It makes it darker, grayer. Let me tell you, I don't think I ever tone stuff. The problem is when we say tone it down, we are talking about this, not adding gray to it. So this is a mix. What I think we're talking about when somebody says tone down the color, we are using a audio cue of sound. Turn it down, tone it down, and we're like, tone down the color. It's too vibrant. We want you to tone it down, but we generally would not be adding 50% gray. I don't really do it. Maybe people do. I don't see it happening all that often. When we tone down a color, generally when I tone down a color, I'm talking about making it lighter or taking out pigment, but I generally don't do this. And if I tell you to tone down the color, I'm going to give you an example like, oh, tone down that red a bit. And when I say tone it down, like maybe find a red that's not pure red, but let's add some purple to it and a little bit of black. You know, like I'll talk you through how to tone it down, but that's what it is. I don't tone very much in design. All right. Shade. Now this is adding pure black. And you can see the beautiful difference it makes in that color. So much, like this looks way better to me than this. This is that chalky kind of, there could be some good things going on in there. But here, it keeps the vibrancy, and all we're doing, same thing, 100% pigment, and then this is 80% P, 20% K, black. Black, K is black. So that's what I'm talking about here. And we're just adding a little bit each time. And you can see it actually turns out these are quite nice. And these are shades. So I'm adding black to the hue. I think these look amazing. This is what I do more. Like I don't add black a lot of times to a color base, but these end up looking way nicer than I think this chalkiness. So this has a place in design in itself. I do tints a lot more because I do like a lot of like one color, and it's a way to get around when somebody's like, you can only do something in 2 colors. Well, that one color, I can have 100. I can go from 100 to 0, and I have 100 tints of that color I can use, and it's still one color. So that's some of the fun stuff. And then monochromatic, which is sometimes intertwined with tints, though you have to be clear about which one you're using. So that is color. Let's go look at some examples here. This will be kind of quick now because I spent most of the time on this, and this is a repeat, but it's easier to check it out, and then I'll show you some examples, and I'll repeat myself a bunch. because I know you guys love it when he just repeats himself over and over. All right. Definition and characteristics. Hue, the specific name of a color, red, blue, green. Value is also terming of the lightness or darkness of a color. So tint, tone, and shade, that also can be termed in general as a value. You have to be very specific when talking. What do you mean by value? What do you mean? Do you want it lighter? Do you want it darker? Change the value of that color. Excuse me. It's all about knowing the proper way to define it further. And then saturation is the intensity or purity of a color. Think of the monochromatic for saturation, where you can have 100% pigment there or just 10% pigment. And it does change the intensity. The color looks more intense. Here, you know, like there's an intenseness. This is very light, and then this is super intense. So that's what we talk about. Saturation. So another way to talk about these colors. Color wheel is a tool that organizes. It's a great way to put it. The color wheel is a tool that organizes colors based on the relationships. That's all it is. The primary colors are positioned equidistant, and secondary and tertiary colors emerge from their combinations. We went over that. Monochromatic, lightness and saturation of a single color. Variations. Analogous uses colors that are adjacent, next to each other. Dumb it down even more. Adjacent, next to each other. 4 colors next to each other. Complementary uses colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel for high contrast. And then triadic involves 3 colors equal distance on the color wheel when you go around. Why do we use it? Emphasis, focal points, bold, contrasting colors draw attention to the eye. Harmony, you use a color scheme with a design piece. When you're working on something, like I said before, you just don't use, I'm going to put blue here and purple there and this color there and that color there. It's like, well, why? You want harmony and unity when you use these. It's not just throwing, I threw up color all over the place and why did you do it? Because I liked it. Well, then you're not kind of setting any kind of harmony or unity, which then leads into mood and emotion, in which you're not thinking about like, well, how should I do this? I want, like intense, crazy, like what colors make you think intense and crazy? And that, yellow and purple and black, like they contrast, high contrast, crazy. Or I want it nice and warm. Or, like I want people to feel warm and calm, or cool and calm. Like, like you think about that. Why are you choosing the colors as they produce mood and emotion? So the base thing, kind of like what I'm saying with all this, choose your colors wisely. It's not every color in the rainbow works every time, everywhere. We start to tone it down. One big one is cultural significance. Different colors mean different things in different cultures. We're becoming a smaller and smaller world into which we need to know these things. Red may symbolize luck and prosperity, while others, it represents danger. Yeah, Asian cultures, red is luck. Kind of in America, red is horror and danger, bad. So like if you were to do something in red and it was all about a safety program and everything was red, you may have to redo that for an Asian country, because they may be like, well, this is about luck and stuff, and they're talking about getting a hand cut off in a machine. Like, okay, we need to change the way we design it for different cultures. That's starting to happen more and more these days as we change. Colors are used in branding everywhere. And this is one of those things, as we start to talk, as you become designers, and it's like those rules that I start to set up with you now. Don't stretch or squish typography. Don't stretch or squish photos or images. We don't just stretch and squish them. You know what we don't do is we don't change a brand's color. A brand has a specific color, and when we're working with that brand, we only use that brand's color. Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Coca-Cola Red. It's a very specific red. If you are to do work with Coca-Cola and they say use our Coca-Cola Red, you better damn well use their Coca-Cola Red. If you're working with McDonald's, you will get their specific red and gold. If you work for a sports team, you have very specific. It's not just picking, oh yeah, the Packers, they're green and gold, eh? I'm going to pick my own green, my own gold, eh? No, they have a very specific paid for color. They probably have it copyrighted. And it's a very specific, and they'll give you an RGB, CMYK, hex code, Pantone. They'll give you 5 different versions of it that are all the Packers green and Packers gold. And you do not use anything but those colors. So color and branding is very, very important. And it's not something you mess with and be like, oh, I just picked the color for it. And be like, what? That's like me just calling you by a different name and not caring. And just be like, hey, yeah, I just call you Jim. But my name's Rachel. Ah, Jim, whatever. It doesn't matter. Hey, it's a name, right? It's a name. No, it's not. It's like very specific. So branding, it's so important. And then balance and contrast. It's just about working with that color, knowing what's most important, what's least important. A big red up there. Then I'm not going to do big red down lower in the design piece. We're going to work with it. Let's look at some examples here. Look at this. Look at this use of beautiful analogous color system. Analogous on the warm. It's the sun. It's the empire of the sun. It's the brightest thing. Gray was used everywhere else, but this sun and the flaming airplane coming out of it. Holy cow. So impactful. This red, it's so vibrant against this gray sky. And then what do we have? This black cutting through it, and almost like they did such a good job. Such a good job, like almost all the way out with no color. So it's like this black cutting through that color, so vibrant, and then down here, pure black, which is contrasting up here with the pure white, and then it's this color right here. It's an amazing little piece. Here's the key to it. It is so simple. And that's why it works so well. Simple. And then we go to this other one, and you're like, Joel, what about this other one? They look like it's, somebody threw up on it. Ugh, I can't do this. But it's beautifully done. And I like it a lot. It's every color in the rainbow. What do we got? Well, we have 3 color systems. But they're all sort of working together. I can't, you know what? I think if I did this, I'd be like, oh, it's too much color. But we have like a base of orange, right? A base of orange. And the highlight, I'm going to say like we're highlighting the shoe. We have, here's the other thing too. What they're doing is they're working in 3s for the most part. Okay? Not for sure, but for the most part. So we have an orange background. We have 1, 2, 3 green shapes. Yellow, there might be some yellow off the board, but we have yellow here, and I think there's some yellow off the board. So I have 3 hits of yellow on this poster. Cyan is 1, 2, and 3. And magenta is 1, 2, and 3. And this purple swoosh is the only guy that's sitting out. So they have thought about the exact placement of all their colors and how they work in the system. And there's a beloved design system of always working in threes. Odd numbers are really attractive to the eye over even numbers. So I always try to work in odds, and I'll count them out. I'll be like, oh, I have 4 of those. I'm gonna remove one. And as soon as you remove like that 4th one, you're like, oh, I like that. Then you can move it. It's far more interesting. But it works with this color system as well. So they do a really good job. Like I said, this piece actually, extends lower, and I have it cut off by this other piece I'm going to show you in a minute. But there was a lot of thought. It's just not like, oh, I want it here, here, and here. Somebody was like, okay, I'm going to put magenta here, and I'll have this 1, 2, 3 in magenta, and I'll put this Nike logo in magenta. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And like they go through, and those are the things I think about as well. How am I distributing this color throughout a piece? I have this one in here. I don't love this piece. I like it. I don't love it. But it's a wonderful mix of warms and cools interplaying with each other, and that whole idea of like blending of colors, gradients, blending of colors. But, like these are like warm purples to yellows to reds, but then we have the purples mixed with these bright blues, and you can see how much they bounce, they contrast. These are like, if I was like, just to like, I would say like this, that's a bad color to circle on there, isn't it? Like this and this, to me, are like complementary colors. Because then when you see it here, and we see the lion on top of the grazing other animal, it's like the contrast is so high. Here the contrast is high. Here the contrast is high. It's this great warm, cool contrast done with these gradients. And then they have it coming out where it's really intense, and then it kind of gets less, and it's really intense and kind of gets less, and then they have it all blend out into this like cool night scene. So it's like you come in and you read across, and the colors are intense and get less, and then they bleed you out. Yes, all this is thought about in design. It's a crazy rainbow, but beautifully done. This one reflects kind of this system here, up here. Like these off colors, cyan, magenta, like the brighter green, and here, but they're like muted down. They have like the black in the background, the bluish gray, which is showing through, and it looks like oil. The oil slick. Man, do even people talk about oil slicks anymore? Cars have gotten better over the years. I mean, this was like a big thing in the 70s. You'd see like just like after a rain in the summer, and like every puddle would be like a rainbow because cars leaked so much oil back then. We don't see this as much. I should switch this piece out. But it's just like the beautiful, organic, don't want to say 100% natural viewing of color, but it's what we get kind of like from an oil spill and the radiance of colors, beautiful colors. And then our final piece here, Woodstock, beautiful, just setup of color. And I'll talk about this in the future, and when we work on pieces, and I talked about it a little bit, but especially with this piece, is like, look at this piece. Actually, look at every one of the pieces on this page, and tell me which ones have black outlines. None of them. The use of color on color is what is beautiful. We are going to stop designing, and I'm going to teach you how to do this, is we are going to stop designing and putting black around everything. It kills the color. And when we make stuff, we're not making cartoons. We're making graphic representation. And as soon as I start adding black around everything, it deadens the vibrancy. And then it's like, why do I need to see all this? It's a distraction, especially when I do it sloppily, to the piece. So we can have that, or we can have it real clean in which the color on color is all that we're talking about. Nice vibrancy. We have Woodstock, white to white to white. 1, 2, 3. Some of the information is in black, but that's it. One station of black. And then we have the orange to orange. And then this is just the illustration itself with some, contrasting colors off the red. The looks really great. And you can see, and I'll show you this right here. Everybody does it, and I hate it, is black text, unless it's super bold like this, black text does not work on red. But they have it nice and bold. But everything, look how great white looks on red. Look how great this blue looks on red. The green looks on red. Like everything but the black looks great on red. Just a future hint that I always get bugged by. All right. Let's look at some examples. Let's find some examples. I kind of opened something up. And we're still, I think it's in 2 weeks, we're going to start designing our own templates using Illustrator and InDesign. No, did I really? No, I closed it. Oh. Just 1 second. Oh, I hope it saved. I had a setup started. Oh, maybe I didn't save it because I was like, oh, this is stuff I should show you guys. All right. Well, all right. So design colors. We want a book cover, a movie, and an album cover. We want these to look great. I found like a cool, I was all excited. I had a cool one. And I was going to just show you some playing around. Oh, here. All right, so I found this one. And then like, so this, I found this over here from their examples. When you open a new one, I scrolled all the way down. Oh, not keep, you guys don't need to see that. Here, on this sidebar, I went all the way down, like, and found one. I think I mistakenly clicked on one. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go all the way down. I would find a weird one. And I almost stopped on this one. And then I went further and I found this one. And I was like, this one's rad. Look at that. Look at all the color. We're doing a color. So this one, instead of here, I'm going to put design elements and pulls. And I'm going to type in color. And I'm going to double check it. You put my name. I'm going to spell my name right. And then like, okay, so this is too big. I'm going to make the font smaller so I can highlight that type. I'm going to get and principal. I like that. All right. Design elements, principal, Joel Scalgia, color. I'll keep those. Weird shoes and stuff. And then number 1. And then this will be, what do I call that? Book cover. And I'm going to get rid of all this crap down here. I can keep the 2. That's a page number. Symbol. Let's delete that. Delete. Delete. Doesn't help my project at all. I'm going to delete it. Then I'm going to delete this image. Oh, wait. I want this one here. Because I found like, see how this is tall? And this is rectangle. So this should be for the album cover. So then I can like delete this one here. Why don't I put it in again? Like, or like one of these areas, I can put the book cover. So delete. All right. So like there it is. And I'm just using that tab. And then when I bring in my image, it's going to be approximately here. So 2000s book. Did I do that 90s last time? I think I did. Images. Look at this. Look at this. Beautiful. I'm going to copy the image. Click here. I'm going to paste. I'm going to delete this one. And this came in so perfect. I'm just looking for that center. There we go. 2. Album cover. Get rid of this. Delete. 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 Go to here. Get rid of this. Get anything I don't need. It's okay. We're making it our own. Oh no. I can't get rid of that. Let's see. Let's see if we can unlock that. Oh, you know what you do? Draw a white box on top of it. Shapes. I want a square. And then I just do the fill to white. Ta-da! I'll make sure there's no stroke on it. White. There you go. Then down here, book cover. Beat the system. I don't want that. We'll cover it up. And then 2000 album covers. Puff Daddy. Is this real? Oh, wait, let's do this one, right? Look how colorful that one is. That actually, I get it, but it does look like somebody just like threw up color. You can barely read the Kala MIA, like you can barely see anything. This is the apex of people's career when they're like, they want like everything on their album, and you're like, you really shouldn't do that. Like, no, I am the artist. I want it to look like somebody puked on my cover. You're like, okay, that's what you want. Oh, and this is supposed to be album cover. Double check your work. That's a nice one. And then final one, movie poster. Number 3. This is having fun. Like this, I love doing this stuff. This is like, and you can see how quick you can start to do it. You know what you're doing. And it's this one, which is delete, 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 delete. Clicking too many times. Movie poster. I got a little thank you page. Let's find our 2000 movie poster. Got to do it. Copy. And again, I'm looking here. Remember, 1,000 or higher. I am checking that. So it's nice and sharp. Oh, it almost matches this shoe one. Huh. And I'm going to make sure it's not, I'm not just throwing it in. I got to scale it. I want it to look beautiful on my presentation. Make sure it's centered. Top, bottom, the gaps are great. Each side. There we go. And there's my presentation on color. Here's my book cover, my album cover, my movie poster. Thank you. Color, this is for me, SP2026. There we go. And then I go to File, Download, PDF. Check that on out. There we go. Page down, book cover. Oh, look, I have an error. I got to go back and fix it. So this is what we fixed. Oh, no, it's not an error. Never mind. Done and done. All right. There you go. More on Thursday about color, producing color, making some color combination systems. It'll be a great time. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know. And enjoy the color unit. I love it. Enjoy it. I'll talk to you guys on Thursday. All right. Bye-bye.